There was a wonderful, very practiced walk. He had it down, and there was a way of squinting, a way of taking a position in a room. His body language spoke reams of dialogue without having to say it. The way he cocked his eye. He had his mannerisms down, in the same way that Cary Grant had his mannerisms down in the more sophisticated way. And I think Wayne's evoke in America of honesty, which may not be so, but evoke it, of bluntness, forthrightness in the man, plain speaking, the common man as opposed to the British elitist, you know. Laurence Olivier would be the bad guy, and John Wayne would be the good guy because he spoke plain English, you know.
He would turn up his pants so that his footwork showed. He had a military kind of placket front shirt with the buttons going out this way that would spread, which emphasized his shoulders. He wore dark clothes, which tended to slim him and give him a silhouette. What he was creating was an image not only of manhood or of a particular actor, but many people came to think of America.
There was no sexuality, but there was honesty. You knew what you were getting. A woman would look at him. She knew what was for supper. There were no surprises. But at least he'd be straight and true to her, probably, you know?
Si este es su ámbito, esta es su web, ambitoweb.com, el sitio más completo de la Argentina. Por amor.
Todo esto lo estoy haciendo porque la amo, ¿entendés? Porque no la quiero perder, porque es lo más importante que tengo en la vida. ¿No te das cuenta que me estoy humillando delante tuyo? Nada más que porque no la quiero perder.
Y sin plata.
Si yo, si no tengo una moneda ni para el colectivo.
¿Cómo que no tenés una moneda? ¿Y qué me pagar esto?
¿Vos no tenés plata?
Este jueves a las 11 de la noche, un cortado.
Quiero decir, a ver, cálmate, no me he vuelto. Quiero decir que a mí no me molestaría que vos me suplantes en la cama. ¿Entendés? Si es que yo puedo mirar.
Historias de café por Canal 7 Argentina.
No te hagas de imbécil, devolveme la billetera.
Hola, amigos. ¿Qué pasa?
No le hagas caso, siempre está borracha. Tenés cuidado, tenés un problema.
¿Qué me pasa a mí? Si estás preocupado por tu manera de beber, llámanos. Alcohólicos Anónimos. Ya hemos estado allí.
Transmite LS82, TV Canal 7, Buenos Aires, Argentina. Si este es su ámbito, esta es su web, ambitoweb.com, el sitio más completo de la Argentina.
En el verano de 1955, Ford y Wayne empezaron a trabajar en una película que mostraba que Wayne podía ser igual de impresionante en el papel de antihéroe. Era una película que reflejaba una Norteamérica totalmente negra. En Los Buscadores, Wayne es Ethan Edwards, un antiguo soldado que pasa años buscando a una sobrina secuestrada por los comanches, impulsado por un odio racial y la amarga obsesión.
We'll find him in the end, I promise you. We'll find him.
En Los Buscadores hay otro personaje, el paisaje del Valle Monumental de Utah. Una frontera salvaje que con su magnitud aumentó la leyenda de Wayne.
I think John Wayne felt more at home here in Monument Valley than he did at his own house. He just blended in. I mean, you put some other actor out here, he doesn't fit the way Wayne did in this country. It's just, it made to order. You know, these huge monuments. He was a huge man physically and overpowering. I mean, that was God's gift to him. And Monument Valley was his home. I mean, he belonged here. I'm going to walk over to the spot where where I did the scene with John Wayne and the Searchers. It was when I found out that my sweetheart had been killed by the Indians. And I came running in here thinking I'd seen Lucy, who was my girlfriend, and jumped in here and started putting my boots back on because I'd run down there barefooted.
I found him. I found Lucy.
What you saw was a buck wearing Lucy's dress. I found Lucy back in the canyon.
What was she?
What do you want me to do? Draw you a picture? Spell it out? Don't ever ask me. As long as you live, don't ever ask me more.
He said, what do you want me to do? Draw you a picture, you know, just like this, and his eyes were like that. And it was frightening, you know, but it brought the tears to my face. It made me cry, and that's what John Ford wanted. But Duke was responsible for that emotion in that scene. You know. It was great.
Fuera de la pantalla, Wayne tenía un apetito insaciable de pasatiempos masculinos. El póker y la pesca del pez aguja en un ambiente en el que rara vez se aceptaba a las mujeres.
Duke was a strong, sensual, macho man. And long before women's lib ever came along, I was a strong, macho, sensual Irish woman. He didn't have to defer to me as a woman. And he said, I usually prefer the company of men, except for Maureen O'Hara. She's the greatest guy I ever knew.
Una vez divorciado de Josephine, Wayne se casó de nuevo en 1945. Esta vez con una mexicana llamada Chata, alcohólica y que se decía había sido prostituta. No hubo hijos y un divorcio con mucha publicidad dañó su imagen del perfecto hombre de familia. En 1952 se casó por tercera vez con una joven actriz peruana con la que finalmente logró encontrar algo de estabilidad emocional.
I knew he was a very important person, very handsome, very tall, very sophisticated. And I was just thinking, what am I going to say to this man? So finally I said to him, trying to be very sophisticated, I said, Mr. Wayne, you were wonderful in For Whom the Bells Toll. At which point, nobody spoke anymore. The Amazon stopped flowing, complete silence, and I thought, oh my God, what have I done? And then Duke started laughing uproariously, and he says, you're mistaking me with my friend Gary Cooper. I think that the fact that I didn't know who he was kind of thought, how stupid can anybody be not to know who I am? And I think that kind of intrigued him, and, you know.
She loved my father very, very deeply. I remember she'd, this might sound strange, but she'd do his toenails. She'd, you know, get out the hot blanket and baby him like that. And I think that's what he really needed from a woman.
I'm John Wayne. We're down here in Texas filming a picture called The Alamo. Now, this story tells about some rugged, self-reliant men.
En 1960, Wayne se empeñó en hacer una película de una historia épica que ilustrara algunos de los valores tradicionales norteamericanos que él cultivaba en su hogar.
When I first met him, he was looking for locations for the Alamo. I saw him for years, you know, writing the script, rewriting the script, trying to cast the movie, and he had a passion about the Alamo, more than any other movie he ever made.
If The Alamo was a woman, it would have been John Wayne's lifetime love. This is a film he cared about, that he wanted to make for a decade. And when he finally makes it, he produces it, he directs it, he stars in it.
All occupants of the mission, we leave at 1.
For some reason, the Alamo became his paradigm of what true patriotism is. These people who sacrifice themselves for freedom, as he saw the storyline. And he was determined to put this together and to show that he could do something that would restore discipline to America. He was beginning by that time in his public sayings to say, we've gone soft, we're not tough, we're not manly. So he was getting a kind of grandiose vision of himself as almost saving America with this movie.
La película salió en octubre de 1960. Wayne se embarcó en una gira publicitaria por La Nación, pero ya las críticas eran catastróficas. Newsweek la calificó como la película B más derrochadora jamás hecha, con B de banal. Por si fuera poco, Wayne, el director, había sobrepasado el presupuesto en $5 millones.
Just everything seemed to go wrong, and it blighted his hope to be a director. Clint Eastwood and other people have moved fairly naturally from being an actor into being a director. Wayne always wanted to do that, but no one really wanted to risk him after the Alamo. He somewhat lost control of his career at that point.
El dolor del fracaso le pegó muy fuerte a Wayne. Su película apareció justo cuando Nixon y Kennedy luchaban en una de las campañas presidenciales más reñidas de la historia norteamericana. Wayne se lanzó junto con su película a la causa republicana.
I think he minded the reviews that said the film wasn't a great film, that it wasn't a classic film. He was trying to say something about America and about what America could be and should be and maybe will be, but nobody picked up on that.
Las convicciones políticas de Wayne se habían manifestado solo después de la Segunda Guerra Mundial. Habiendo fracasado en una lucha contra los japoneses, le declaró la guerra a los comunistas. En 1948, Wayne fue elegido presidente de la Alianza del Cine del ala derecha, dedicada a purgar la industria de subversivos.
All over the world, they pour their mouthings into the ears of the people, wearing down their resistance by repeated hammerings of half-truths.
The way John Wayne liked to work with what he felt were the radicals in the film industry is call them in and talk to them. Get them to go before UAC, the House Un-American Activities Committee, and say what they knew about communists. Certainly this was the case with Carl Foreman, the scriptwriter of High Noon. He wanted Carl Foreman to go and to say, I was wrong. When Foreman refused to do it, John Wayne often took credit, anyway, in his own mind, said that he ran Carl Foreman out of town, that he got him out of Hollywood.
I think it was probably a very necessary thing at the time, because the radical liberals were going to take over our business. Trouble there was that they were spouting by rote somebody else's way of life. And that's all right for those fellows over there. That's the way they want to live, but we don't have to have it in our country.
Si necesita para su mejor inversión conocer las diferentes cotizaciones de plazo fijo en bancos, ambitoweb.com.
Este martes a las 11 de la noche, la conversación es con Enrique Pinti.
Me metí por otra manga en el de Gol y me fui, me subía, cuando vi que toda la gente era árabe, que hablaba en árabe, dije, mejor que digo, ¿dónde va esto? Le dije, yo iba a Marruecos, imagínate yo la que iba a pasar, salí corriendo de esa manga y empecé a, porque habían cambiado la manga, habían hecho un corte de manga, de una palabra.
No te olvides, Enrique Pinti, en La Conversación, este martes a las 11 de la noche en Canal 7, Argentina.
El tránsito.
Si estás harto de los peatones imprudentes,
El tránsito.
harto de los que cruzan las calles por cualquier parte,
Lo hacemos entre todos.
vos podés hacer que esto cambie.
El tránsito seguro también lo haces vos.
Dale siempre a los peatones prioridad, también en sendas peatonales y esquinas sin semáforos. Luchemos por la vida.
Estás en Canal 7. Cambiar valió la pena. Nos estamos viendo.
La historia del mundo. 42 fascículos con más de 300 páginas con la mejor ilustración. Desde los orígenes hasta nuestros días. La más actualizada obra con un real enfoque de los acontecimientos del mundo. Todos los lunes y miércoles desde el 2 de julio con Ámbito Financiero. Resérvela.
The Defense Department has asked me to help bring you this story of Vietnam's attempt to build itself into a nation. The leaders of the North Vietnamese military forces said that the organization, composition, and training of American forces were not fit to tackle a revolutionary war. I guess they forgot 1776. Anyway, we Americans who...
La guerra de Vietnam confirmó el miedo más profundo de Wayne sobre la amenaza comunista. Su siguiente proyecto, Las Boinas Verdes, sería la única película a favor de Vietnam que saliera de Hollywood.
All these people that are appearing here tonight went to Vietnam. I've been advised to say that if you didn't know it. I want you to a real American right here that did a sensational job in Vietnam, shaking hands, and he's done a great job. He's a great citizen in every category, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. John Wayne, right here.
You men, I want to say thanks for showing the whole world the kind of men a free country can put up when the going gets rough. You're the best we have, and I'll ride off into the sunset with you anytime.
The 60s was a time of great turmoil. People's sensitiveness was heightened, and he was seen more and more as a voice of the past, or of the establishment, or of the Vietnam War, which of course he exacerbated by making the Green Berets.
All of the extras, please, who are around Mr. Jackson.
The Green Berets take care of children, they give out soap, they refuse to torture the way other people are doing over there. So it's a presentation of the Vietnam War as entirely an exercise in humanity. It was laughed at out loud by many of even military audiences when it was released. It made money, they all make money, but the critics made fun of it. Even some of his fans made fun of that movie.
So what's this empty nonsense about Ronald Reagan being just an actor? I've watched Ronald work his entire adult life preparing for public service. His will be a new, informed, vigorously dedicated leadership. So on November the 8th, vote for Ronald Reagan.
You had what Richard Nixon will tap into and will call the silent majority. To that America, John Wayne is a hero. And so politicians are bending over backwards, particularly conservative politicians, to identify not only themselves with John Wayne, but John Wayne with them.
There are certain groups of people who feel threatened. There's a sort of a thing about feeling threatened. And they feel that there's barriers to protect and borders to defend. And I think we all do as people. But some people more than others, and I think that when you start to really believe the Western mythology of taking up the gun and defending your perimeter, you become dangerous, because that's when you start looking for enemies.
Wayne empieza a encontrarse más fuera de ritmo en los 60. Se hunde en una depresión y tenía más choques esperándolo. No solo una posible bancarrota debido a asesoría financiera incompetente, sino debido a una salud precaria por un cáncer muy divulgado que le dejó solo un pulmón. Su tercer matrimonio también estaba tirante.
He was only really happy when he was working on a movie. That's when he was disciplined, focused. When he was off the set, he was kind of at odds and adrift. He was somebody whose whole life had been the proving of himself in these movies.
Pero para finales de los 60, Wayne ya no parecía el héroe tradicional de Hollywood. A los 62 años ya tenía barriga y le faltaba el aliento. Solo un año después de hacer el papel de un duro héroe de guerra en Las Boinas Verdes, inventó su resurgir en la renovación de imagen mayor de toda su carrera.
Wayne was a very shrewd manipulator of his image. That was a perfect career move, and it capitalized on what people were feeling about Wayne at that point anyway. Abby Hoffman, the radical, said, he's like a dinosaur, he'd eat me. But what a dinosaur, what a survival from the old age of huge things.
John Wayne, always instant box office,
and the Best Actor candidate this year for his starring role in True Grit.
Peter O'Toole in Goodbye, Mr. Chips. Dustin Hoffman in Midnight Cowboy. John Voight in Midnight Cowboy. Richard Burton in Anne of the Thousand Days. And John Wayne in True Grit. The winner is John Wayne in True Grit.
Wow. If I'd have known that, I'd have put that patch on 35 years earlier.
When he walked up to the stage and got it, I noticed that he was holding it by the base. You know how most people hold it by the body? He held it by the base, and he had to wipe a tear from his eye. He was actually crying. And later, when I asked him, I said, Dad, why did you hold the Oscar that way? And he said, it's such an honor to me that I just wanted everybody to see the whole Oscar.
En 1974, Wayne aceptó una invitación de los estudiantes para visitar la Universidad de Harvard, antiguo bastión de la oposición a la guerra de Vietnam.
I think the police told me it was the largest crowd that had ever been assembled in Harvard Square. It was right next to a three-floor dormitory, and people were throwing snowballs at him. I don't know whether he explicitly thought, here I am back in the wagon train, and the Indians are trying to surround it, and I'm going to get through because I'm John Wayne.
How do you feel about students smoking LSD?
I'm just happy that you all weren't here 200 years ago. They'd have never got that tea into the harbor.
Is it true that your toupee is real mohair?
I'm sure that's real hair. Not mine, but real hair.
Wait, do you look at yourself as the fulfillment of the American dream?
I don't look at myself any more than I have to, Brent. Sunsets at 6:42. That's 5 seconds. Now, pick it up, pick it up.
Pero Wayne fue siempre conservador en el fondo y consideró el clima liberal de los años de Jimmy Carter muy deprimente. Buscó más y más escapar a bordo de su yate Ganso Salvaje. Las opiniones de derecha de Wayne se hacían cada vez más extremadas. Defendió el acaparamiento de territorios indios y atacó el movimiento de los derechos civiles diciendo que los norteamericanos blancos no debían ceder en la supremacía hasta que los negros estuvieran mejor educados.
We're being represented by men who are kowtowing to minorities where they can get votes. And I think it's bad for our country. And I am sad to see minorities make so much of themselves as a hyphenated American. I wish they'd all get to thinking that they're Americans as they should, and as they have luckily been born here and couldn't be better off in any other place. There shouldn't be so much whining and bellyaching.
No llega a esto. En internet, ámbitoweb.com.
Voy a ver los bolsos. Qué linda.
Son Benetton, maletín, bolso ejecutivo y bolso de viaje.
Buenísima.
Solo con la promo ESO, bolsos de lujo Benetton.
Te van a conmover.
No me juzguen más, porque lo que hice, lo que dejé de hacer, lo hice todo por amor.
Te van a emocionar.
Desde que nacieron, no hice otra cosa que pensar en ustedes.
Las Amantes, una espectacular coproducción televisiva de Uruguay y Argentina.
Obviamente estoy de luto. ¿Qué crees que me ponga? ¿A ver de cotorra?
Desde el martes 10 de julio.
Oye, soy una señora mayor. A la señora mayor no se las hace esperar, ¿te das cuenta? Dame con tu madre, ¿querés?
Las Amantes, por Canal 7. Estás en Canal 7. Cambiar valió la pena. Nos estamos viendo.
La historia del mundo. 42 fascículos con más de 300 páginas con la mejor ilustración. Desde los orígenes hasta nuestros días. La más actualizada obra con un real enfoque de los acontecimientos del mundo. Todos los lunes y miércoles desde el 2 de julio con Ámbito Financiero. Resérvela.
You're going to lay me out for the public to gawp at 50 cents a head, children 10. And when the curiosity peters out, you're going to stuff me in a gunny sack and...
Pero Wayne no abandonaba Norteamérica ni dejaba de hacer películas. Su última película, El francotirador, trataba de un pistolero que envejece afrontando cáncer. El periodista George Clinton observó al duque en escena.
I had a feeling that I wasn't going to like him. He stood for a lot of things that I didn't particularly approve of as a right-wing he-man.
I can look at him right here, and you're not shooting up my nose, but if you put him around over here and I'm looking at him...
He was a gentleman, and he had a great deal of sympathy for people I didn't think he would have stood up for. Talked at length about Montgomery Clift, for an example, who had a life pattern that was entirely the opposite of what John Wayne would expect how a person should behave. He was involved with drugs, and, homosexual and all of that. And, but Wayne was of the highest opinion of him as a professional. He loved professionals. He was always on the set, knew all the crew by name. You'd hear his voice all over the set, having fun with somebody. If you listened to him talk, you did not at all guess that he was this figure that was sort of the pride of the ultra-right. Not that at all.
Wayne presumía haber derrotado al cáncer en los 60. Pero en 1978, este regresó vengativo y esta vez saldría vencedor. Por una terrible ironía, el cáncer de Wayne pudo venir de dos cosas que él amaba: el ejército norteamericano y hacer películas. En este caso, una película épica filmada solo a 90 millas del área de pruebas de Nevada.
When The Conqueror was shot in 1954, the nuclear test had already been going on since 1951, so there was considerable radiation in the environment already. But 1954 was really a banner year for testing, and the clouds came right over Snow Canyon and just plastered the entire crew and the cast. They were never out of range of radiation the entire time the film was being shot. St. George, like many other desert communities in the Southwest, doesn't have a lot of foliage, trees, brush to hold down the dirt and the sand. It is desert. And what happens in the desert is that dust storms come up. So what that means is that all the particulate matter of all these isotopes from nuclear testing would be in that sand as it blew over the entire of the Southwest. So everybody had the chance of becoming contaminated just by breathing. There were many people in the cast that died. Maybe about 3/4 by now have died from the radiation at that time. By the 70s, the solid tumor cancers started to show up, which is in keeping with John Wayne's cancer, which was a solid tumor in his stomach.
I knew for quite a while. He came and told me. But being Duke, you know, he was very brave. He says, I'm going to beat it, because the first time, you know, he did.
I knew it bothered him because I got cancer. And I was in St. John's Hospital waiting for my surgery, and the phone rang, and it was Duke. And Duke and I, we chatted and talked and everything, and then Duke started to cry. And he said, Maureen, why you? Why me?
Wayne estaba demasiado enfermo para soportar quimioterapia, pero nada le impediría hacer una última aparición pública. La entrega del Oscar de 1979, donde le habían invitado para presentar el premio a la mejor película.
He had his stomach removed because they found cancer, and he just wanted to get up there so much. And so what he did was he got a wetsuit to put on over him, so at least he'd look like he had something on his bones. It was awful, but his face still showed. And then I was watching him, and I knew how weak he was, and with the wetsuit, how warm he must have been. And he was standing there, and I kept thinking, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. He's not going to make it. He's going to pass out. And, you know, he made it, and I knew it was difficult for him. He stood up there, and he said, I'm going to be here, you know, many, many more years after. And I think that he knew he was dying, but I think he meant in spirit.
And now it is time for his fans and supporters in the Congress to give him the Congressional Oscar.
Several of John Wayne's friends and colleagues came to Washington to tell Congress why the ailing actor should receive the National Gold Medal.
On the way up on the plane, I was thinking, what can you put on a medal for John Wayne? John Wayne cowboy, John Wayne actor, John Wayne football player? What do you put on it? To the people of the world, John Wayne is not just an actor, and a very fine actor. John Wayne is the United States of America. He is what they believe it to be. He is what they hope it will be. And I feel that the medal should say just one thing: John Wayne, American.
John Wayne murió 3 semanas después, el 11 de junio de 1979.
You know, his cult is unlike all others. Most of those cults are for rebellious figures, youth-doomed figures like James Dean or Marlon Brando, Montgomery Clift. Wayne is a symbol of sober, industrious responsibility, which is normally dull or irrelevant or dim, and he makes it vivid and personal and dramatic. Nobody else seems to be able to do that, to take conservative values and make them sexy and exciting, and where do you find somebody who can represent all of that?
Nos despedimos con el olor a pólvora y con este republicano metido a cowboy. Y les propongo para la próxima semana ir más atrás en la historia, a un ciclo formidable en la historia de la humanidad, a la Roma imperial. En el próximo programa comienza un ciclo de la BBC de Londres y ámbito financiero referido a 6 Césares, 6 programas fascinantes sobre la historia de Roma, los grandes emperadores que hicieron el imperio.